Several new developments in South suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances, while the township supervisor,
Tiffany Henyard, is no stranger to controversy. But this time, she might have taken things way too far. At a recent village meeting in Dolton, Illinois, the self-proclaimed supermayor shocked residents with a statement so brazen that it left everyone in the room speechless. With a microphone in hand and an unshakable sense of confidence, she addressed the townspeople who had been demanding answers about her alleged corruption. But instead of taking responsibility or even offering a semblance of humility, Henyard doubled down, basically blaming the residents for their own problems. That's right, she told them it was their fault for the mess they're in. And what's worse, she didn't stop there.
Terminate his employment. I don't believe that is legally correct. That's just not the way municipalities operate, right?
Imagine being in a room full of people who are fed up with your leadership, all while you're being accused of financial mismanagement, corruption, and worse, and you still have the nerve to say, "You brought this on yourselves." That's exactly what Tiffany did. During the heated meeting, she waved off accusations of wrongdoing and instead shifted the blame entirely to the residents of Dolton. With the town facing a deficit of $2 million this year, she essentially humiliated them, insinuating that their own disagreements and lack of unity are what led to the town's financial collapse. It's almost as if she was saying, if you weren't so poor and quarrelsome, we wouldn't be in this mess.
you could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances, while the township supervisor...
Talk about audacity. This is a mayor who's under federal investigation and has been accused of spending taxpayer money like it's her own personal piggy bank. Yet here she was, making it seem like the people of Dolton were somehow responsible for her mishandling of funds. It's the kind of thing that you couldn't make up if you tried. And honestly, it's left everyone wondering, how far is she willing to go?
Coming in, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said, you have just some accountability.
In the same meeting where she practically insulted the entire town, Henyard didn't hesitate to brag about how much she's cleaned up Dolton since taking office. Yes, you heard that right. Even though reports show that the village's financial situation has only worsened under her leadership, Henyard boldly declared that she had made improvements and that everything was much better now than before she took over. When we took over, we came and cleaned up the village of Dolton, she said, almost daring anyone to challenge her.
Hey guys, this is Supermayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
But here's the kicker: former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was brought in to investigate the town's finances, dropped a bombshell just days before this meeting. Her report revealed that Dolton's general fund had plummeted from a healthy $5.61 million in 2022 to a staggering deficit of $3.65 million by May 2024. And yet, Henyard had the gall to stand in front of her constituents and act like she was some kind of hero for cleaning up the village. Talk about living in an alternate reality.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
And it gets even crazier. According to Lightfoot's investigation, Henyard's spending habits are more than questionable, they're downright scandalous. She reportedly used the village credit card to make lavish purchases at places like Amazon, Target, and Wayfair, racking up tens of thousands of dollars on personal items. One jaw-dropping discovery from the report revealed that Henyard had spent an eye-popping $33,000 in just one day on Amazon. For what? No one really knows, but the fact that she's using public funds for her own personal shopping spree has left everyone outraged. As if that wasn't enough, Henyard has also been accused of using village resources for her own protection, hiring a large security detail that cost the town tens of thousands of dollars in overtime pay for officers. Former Dolton Police Chief Robert Collins, who was fired by Henyard, spoke out about this misuse of police manpower. "We needed those officers on the street fighting crime," Collins said, adding that Henyard's personal security detail was taking officers away from their actual duties. It's clear that Henyard has no problem using the town's limited resources to benefit herself, even if it means putting the town at risk.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
Despite all of this, Henyard remains defiant, acting as though none of the accusations against her matter. In fact, she's gone so far as to dismiss the FBI investigation into her conduct as nothing more than a political stunt. But let's not forget, the FBI doesn't just investigate people for fun. They've been looking into her for months, and multiple subpoenas have already been served. From financial records to personnel files, the feds are leaving no stone unturned in their search for evidence against her. And while Henyard may want the people of Dolton to believe that this is all just one big misunderstanding, the reality is that things are looking pretty grim for the so-called supermayor.
No reason for anyone from a township to go to a mayor's conference. A mayor's conference is a mayor's conference for mayors.
Her troubles don't end there, though. Henyard's leadership has been riddled with even more serious allegations, including accusations of harassment and intimidation. Take the case of former Village of Dolton trustee Valeria Stubbs, for example. Stubbs, who has been a vocal critic of Henyard, claims that her home was targeted in a drive-by shooting after she publicly challenged the mayor. Stubbs believes that Henyard was behind the attack, saying that the mayor had previously harassed her at her home. Absolutely, Stubbs said when asked if she thought Henyard was involved in the shooting. I have no doubt in my mind. And then there's the matter of Henyard's longtime ally, former Deputy Police Chief Louis Lacey, who was recently indicted on bankruptcy fraud charges. Lacey, a key figure in Henyard's inner circle, is accused of concealing assets to avoid paying creditors. It's just another example of the kind of people Henyard surrounds herself with. And yet she continues to deny any wrongdoing, painting herself as a victim of a smear campaign.
Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
The people of Dolton, however, aren't buying it. Many have taken to social media to express their frustration with the mayor and call for her resignation. One comment reads, "Just arrest her already. She's a criminal and deserves to be in a federal prison, and all her assets and the assets of those that she spent money on, trustee's boyfriend, Mami Etog." It's clear that residents are fed up with Henyard's antics and they're ready for a change. Another commenter sarcastically remarked, "Apparently, it is not a big deal because the FBI is definitely not interested." The frustration and skepticism are palpable, but Henyard remains unfazed, continuing to play the role of the untouchable leader who can do no wrong. At the same meeting where she belittled the residents, she even hinted that she has more receipts to prove that her actions have been in the best interest of the town. She's promised a State of the Village address in the near future, where she plans to reveal these so-called receipts. But at this point, it's hard to imagine what she could possibly say to make anyone believe that she's been anything but self-serving during her time in office.
But it saddens my heart that you are up here at this special meeting and not downstairs where we have big bingo.
One can't help but wonder how someone like Tiffany Henyard has managed to hold onto power for this long. Her leadership style seems to be a mix of arrogance, manipulation, and blatant disregard for the people she's supposed to serve. And yet, despite everything, she's still the mayor. How does she do it? Some say it's because she's built a network of loyal supporters who will back her no matter what, while others believe it's simply because she knows how to play the political game. Either way, it's clear that Henyard is a master at deflecting blame and avoiding accountability. It's also worth noting that Henyard's influence extends beyond Dolton. She's also the supervisor of Thornton Township, a position that pays her an additional $200,000 a year. That's right, while the residents of Dolton struggle to make ends meet, Henyard is pulling in a combined salary that's higher than the governor of Illinois. And what does she do with all that money? Well, according to reports, she spends it on lavish trips, fine dining, and luxury hotels, all at the taxpayer's expense. One particularly outrageous example of her spending came to light when it was revealed that Henyard and her entourage had racked up more than $67,000 in charges for trips to places like Portland, Austin, Atlanta, and New York City. In Atlanta, the group stayed at the Four Seasons, running up a bill of over $9,300. In New York, they stayed at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square, where they were charged more than $13,000. And let's not forget the first-class flights and countless restaurant meals along the way. For a town that's millions of dollars in debt, this kind of spending is nothing short of outrageous.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
So what's next for the embattled mayor? Will the FBI finally close in on her and bring an end to her reign in Dolton? Or will she somehow find a way to escape the clutches of the law and continue her controversial tenure as supermayor? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the people of Dolton have had enough, and they're not going to stop demanding answers until they get the justice they deserve. The tension between Henyard and the residents has reached a boiling point, with more and more people speaking out against her leadership. At a recent meeting, one angry resident stood up and declared, "You've done nothing. You don't care about nobody but yourself." Another added, "This is a disgrace what you have done to this village. They say that you're the worst mayor in America." I agree. These are not just isolated comments, they represent the growing frustration of a community that feels abandoned by its leader. Henyard, however, seems completely unfazed by the criticism. In fact, she appears to thrive on it. During the same meeting, she addressed the crowd with a level of confidence that bordered on arrogance, saying, "I am about to address some things. There will be no comment, no anything. Just me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on." It's almost as if she's daring the residents to challenge her, knowing full well that she holds all the power. Now, here's the big question for you. Do you think Tiffany Henyard will finally face the consequences of her actions? Or is she going to slip through the cracks and come out unscathed? And what do you think the future holds for the town of Dolton if she continues to hold on to power? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned for more updates on this wild story.